All right, what is better than one new Nomad release? Three. Three new little cuties that I get to share with you today. I am so excited to dive into these with you. We are going to be doing an eye look using each of these palettes. You've already gotten to see swatches, and I can't wait to give you my thoughts on these. Now, I do want to let you know that Nomad sent these over in PR, so thank you so much to the brand, but of course, I will be keeping it real with you. Speaking of, if we haven't met before, my name is Kelly, and I'm a professional hair and makeup artist, and here on my channel, I strive to keep beauty real. Real honest, real relatable, and real fun. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, don't forget to click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. All right, so since we have these three palettes to dive into, I want to keep this intro pretty brief, but I do just want to give some thoughts in general about these launches. Now, I absolutely love the original Nomad Air palette. I think it is such a great travel palette, and I think it's super smart for the brand to release more because I think a lot of people really enjoyed it. And these honestly are at a great price. They're $22. Now I do have a discount code, which is KEEPBEAUTYREAL, which will save you an additional 10%. That's not affiliated, by the way. Now, as you may know, the brand is very much travel inspired. You know, a lot of the palettes have destination themes. I really think it's cool that these are actually named after different airports around the world, and they have inspiration behind the color stories. So really quickly, like I said, you already got to see the swatches at the beginning. I really try not to focus too much on that because usually by the time these videos go up, people have already seen the swatches quite a bit. And honestly, I would rather see how they perform on the eye. So I tend to not focus too much on that, but it does kind of give you a good idea of the color story. So this first one here, actually, let's go ahead and go into the Oslo palette. So the Oslo Gardermoen, I hope I'm close on that. This one is inspired by Nordic cool tones. So as you can see here, this is definitely a much cooler story, but still on the neutral side compared to the original Nomad Air palette, which I should probably get out so that I can show you. Okay, so when I originally saw the pictures on Instagram, I was like, ooh, that might be kind of close to what there already is, but it really isn't. I mean, we definitely have warmer tones, almost a little bit rosy leaning, like a rosy brown in here, whereas these definitely are much more cool toned. So I'll just pop them up here for you. I have my center light turned down pretty far just so you can get a true result. Just a minute ago, the sun was shining, and so I had a lot more light here. I just can't help it with the light today, but I think that, you know, this was definitely great for a neutral, leaning a little bit warmer kind of lover, and this is definitely for that cool toned lover. Now, obviously, these two together makes a really great neutrals palette, and that's one fun thing about this is, you know, because they are smaller, you can mix and match. With these being $22, even if you chose to pick up two, you have a 12-pan palette for $44, which I think is, you know, really a good price. So now moving into this beauty, and I love the geometric designs on these. We have the Canadian Rockies palette, and the inspiration here is Mountain Calling. So you've got those beautiful greens. You know I love a good green moment. We also have a blue shimmer, and then I would say more of this teal guy. So if you love a good pop of color, if you're a green lover like me, you may really enjoy this one. And then here we have this one, which is going to be the one that I'm going to use in just a moment with all of you. I have not used this one yet. This is the Abu Dhabi Zayed O palette. I hope I am close again on these pronunciations, and the inspiration for this was Desert Oasis. I mean, you open this, you see the sort of like, almost like, it reminds me of like wavy dunes and these beautiful colors inside. Now here we have a couple more like goldeny bronzy type tones, and then this really leans more into, I would say almost like muted rosy terracotta shades. Oh, yummy, so yummy. I am very excited to try this one out. So again, I think you could, you know, mix and match these a little bit to create your own little set. I will also say I saw that the brand announced this morning that the tote is back. Everybody loved this little tote. This, of course, is the tote that came with the original launch. I'm just gonna open this up here. So you have some really nice opportunities to be able to store. You have a couple slots for bigger brushes, and they are offering this as a free gift with purchase if you purchase 3 of the 4 palettes, or you can purchase it on its own for $22. I'm just going to take a moment here to talk. I'm hoping that they still have this available, but I just want to take a moment to to talk a little bit about the Nomad Air face cream. I really love this. If you were looking for just a very simple moisturizer, and I'm going to show you, look how much I've gone through. So this stays here in this room, and on those days that I just need a quick moisturizer, or honestly sometimes if I've forgotten that step in my bathroom because, you know, I'm like layering serums and I try to like let them sit for a little bit, I love this. I just think that this is such a nice product. I just want to give a note on that. If you're picking any of these up and you want a good, simple, just really nice hydrating moisturizer, I would actually recommend that one. Okay, so there are the details, all the pricing info. These, by the way, will be available basically at midnight. The day that I'm filming this is Monday, so midnight tonight or the wee hours Tuesday morning. So that's Eastern Standard Time. So about 11 p.m. Central Time where I am. I am hoping to have this video go up tonight, so it'll be a good reminder. So if you're watching this the day that this video goes up, it will be tonight that these palettes release, or very, very wee hours of the morning on Tuesday. I feel like Nomad is very good about having a good amount of stock available, and I don't think any of these are limited editions, so to speak. They will be around for a while, so please don't feel like you need to, like, you know, set an alarm, but I just wanted to let you know when they will be launching. Okay, so let's go ahead. Again, I did a look with the other two palettes and we're gonna dive into this one together. I'm gonna do this as a little talk through. The other two are more sped up, and by the way, always feel free to use the chapters. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. I'm gonna zoom you in. I'm so excited to use this palette. All right, as I start to get into this, I'm not gonna stay on this too long, but for those of you that are new to my channel, I did just get Invisalign last week. So I'm still kind of working through those first few phases of not sounding super lispy. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. Now, I don't usually use an eye primer in my everyday makeup application. I was thinking about doing it for this palette, but I would like to test out the longevity of these shades and these palettes. So I think I'm just gonna go with the concealer since that's what I usually do. I do like to use a wet brush when I'm doing shimmers, but other than that, I'm just pretty simple when it comes to those things. So in this 6-pan in particular, I feel like not only do you have a 6-pan, obviously, but you have 2 trios. So I feel like you could very easily use this set or this set to create a look. Are we gonna do that? I don't know. We'll probably kind of mix and move around. So we're just gonna go ahead and dive right in. I honestly cannot wait to use both of these shimmers, but today I think I'm gonna use Desert Oasis. You know that I'm definitely a rosy girl and this shade looks so, so beautiful, but I'm just feeling the bronzy thing lately. I am really feeling the bronzy thing. I think what I'm gonna do is go through and apply Spice Market all over because I really want to see if I can get that Desert Oasis to kind of pop on top of that dark matte. I do find that just from the other 2 palettes, I'm sort of like jumping the gun here, but on the other 2 palettes, the shimmers are pretty thin in texture, which, you know, some people love, some people don't, but I just want to see if I feel like putting it over a dark matte makes it pop just a little bit more. Ooh, okay, that like blended out really quickly and really easily. I mean, I'm sure the Sonia G brush has a lot to do with it as well, but I don't know that I was intending to get quite so much going on here, but that's okay. These mattes are a little bit powdery, not like dry, but I'm getting a bit of kick up in the pan, which, you know, really doesn't matter to me. I don't mind that at all. It is just something to be aware of. So you'll probably want to tap your brush off, especially if you're heavy-handed or you are like me going in to do your eyes after you've done your complexion. I'm being very picky right now. I'm being very picky, but I do feel like I have a little bit of, I don't want to say patchy because it's not like it's skipping and leaving skin out, but I feel like there are places where I've gotten much darker. Now that could be, I mean, the concealer that I used, you know, like it could have been a little bit too moist yet and really like taken in that pigment. So not quite sure about that. That's the only thing. And I'm sorry that I haven't had time to play with these palettes more. This is definitely more of a first impression, but this came at the end of my week last week. And honestly, I have some personal life things going on that just made it not possible to be worrying about makeup testing. But I will say I have had many Nomad palettes, some that I've purchased, some that I've gotten NPR, and I feel like the quality is always pretty good. There have been a couple times where, you know, some formulas have been kind of like hit or miss, but for the most part, I feel like I'm pretty comfortable with the brand as far as their formulas go. So you know, I can kind of tell you like what this is like comparatively to other palettes, which I think is also helpful if you've purchased from Nomad before. All right, so now I'm gonna just go in with this light creamy shade to kind of give this a little bit more blur. Just gonna blend this out here. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking a clean brush, blending that a bit, and then wiping it off. By the way, the Nikki LaRose in BK Beauty, it is a tinted hair, so, you know, it's not actually dirty. I feel like this brush always looks like maybe it's dirty because it has those tinted bristles, but it's not. So again, I'm just kind of blending out that edge. This color works really well for that. Yeah, really nice. I do also feel like running a little bit of that through helped with those areas where I got that little bit of extra pigment laid down. Now, I'll be honest, I'm really going to be excited to use this matte all over as well at some point because I think that's such a flattering shade on blue and green eyes. So definitely excited. Maybe I will throw a little bit of that on in the crease. We'll have to see. So now I'm going to go through with Desert Oasis. I'm going to try this What's Up Beauty brush. Now, I do always like to go through with a damp brush when I'm using a shimmer, especially obviously as I have laid down my complexion. Ooh, yeah, this is really pretty. Wow. I've said it in the past, and this is definitely the same. Nomad has this really nice formula of their shimmers where it's a soft shimmer base, and then they have a lot of little like micro shimmers that run through it, so you get a really beautiful visually textured look out of it. So it's kind of unique. That looks so pretty. Oh my gosh, that looks so pretty. Okay, I mean, that being said, it is so pretty. Obviously, it's not like it's a shade that we haven't seen in other palettes, but in this nice little format, it is really great. So I think I'm gonna just take a pencil brush. By the way, can I just say that this What's Up Beauty R106 really applied that shimmer very nicely. In the other two looks, I use a MAC brush that I'm pretty sure is synthetic, and it just didn't quite give as much babam, so maybe it is the brush, but I'm really liking that one. Okay, so now I'm gonna go through with Endless Sands, which is that more, I never know what to call this kind of color. It's sort of like a pinky, terracotta, rusty salmon, earthy coral. I don't know, but that's the one that we're gonna use. I'm just gonna run that along my lower lash line. You know, it's so interesting that I had that issue with that Spice Market shade because in one of the other looks, I specifically used a shade that I thought might be a bit troublesome just to test it out and see. But the Spice Market shade, I just never would have guessed would maybe have that issue. But again, it could just be that my eyelid was still a little bit damp. I really didn't. I usually like to throw a setting powder on, like just really lightly, and I might not have gotten enough there. I feel like I'm running out finally of my Hourglass Veil. I mean, not finally because I don't like it, but finally because I've had my Veil Translucent Setting Powder for a very, very, very long time, and I've been trying to use it up. But now that I'm getting down to the bottom of the barrel, sometimes it takes effort to get much out and onto a brush, so it could just be that I didn't get enough. Okay, this is stunning. This is stunning. I mean, is anybody surprised that I'm really liking a rusty and rosy palette? Probably not. Probably not. But see, can you see how these colors just kind of like bring out the green? Oh, so pretty. Okay. I mean, I feel like I could definitely go through and make this a little bit deeper with the Spice Market shade. I think that this one probably builds up pretty dark, but I'm liking this. I'm really liking something that is quick, easy, soft. That's kind of my vibe recently. I'm just gonna use this other light shade as a brighter inner corner. Well, I mean, I don't know that it's gonna be super bright, but you know, to kind of pop a little something here. Honestly, that just gives me an opportunity to use another shade in the palette. It's okay. I'm gonna take that other shade over the top. I just feel like I need a little bit brighter pop. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and throw on some mascara quick. I do just wanna make mention that I have little to no fallout at all, which is great. So I'm gonna go do that and we can talk a little bit about this palette. All right, so Update since we last saw each other. I have mascara on, like I said. It has also started pouring rain, so please enjoy that ASMR because I am not going to wait for this downpour to stop. I also remembered to put back in my earrings. I washed my face after the first two looks. I forgot to put them back in. So also the headband, just, this is a pay no attention to the man behind the curtain moment because my hair color is so grown out. I am in desperate need of a touch-up, which I will be doing tonight. Okay, so as the rain gets harder, great. I really love this look. I mean, I don't think it's anything that I can't get from another palette per se. I'm just gonna say that. I do feel like I have color stories that are leaning in this range, but I do like the compact version of this. I could absolutely see traveling with this. If this had come out before our vacation, this would have come with me, 100%, absolutely, absolutely. So other than that, I definitely have some initial thoughts about these palettes and the launch in general that I'm gonna save off until the end of this video and just kind of my final thoughts. But now we're gonna get into those other two looks. It was just very quick eye looks. I didn't even put on any other makeup, but you'll be able to see sort of what you can get from these palettes. So we'll get into that right now. All right, welcome to my makeup-free face. I figured since you're going to see a look with a full face of makeup, we could just quickly do a couple eye looks with two of these palettes. I will go ahead and throw some concealer on my eyelids since that's what I do pretty much every day. Now I don't really use eye primer all that much, but I'm thinking since I'm going to use concealer for these two palettes, maybe I will use or will have already used, depending on the order that I decide to edit this in, I will use it for the other palette. So for these looks, we're going to be using the Oslo palette and the Canadian Rockies palette. I'm really excited. I love both of these color stories, but for today, I was just so ready to wear a good warm and toasty look. So I'm honestly just gonna be doing these, wiping it off, and doing the other look that you have seen or will be seeing. So you probably would have guessed that I am really drawn more to this democratic design shade, but for that reason, I think I'm gonna go in with Nordic Cool, just so we can see the kind of like cool smoky eye that we can get out of this one. As far as the Canadian Rockies, I mean, we have two shimmers in here. One is leaning a little bit more into the blue-green and one more into the green-green. And I think for the Canadian Rockies palette, I'm gonna go in with Mountain Calling. However, I do think whether I just lay it down as like a base or it's along the very edges, I'm going to try this Find Your Peak shade just to test the quality of it. This shade like this is one of those that I think can be kind of hard to do. So I do want to test that out a little bit. I'm just not feeling like a super blue moment. All right, so I'm definitely having some initial thoughts on these color layouts. I will go into all of that at the end of this video. So for this portion, I'm just gonna let you listen to some music. I will definitely be coming back to give you my thoughts at the end of application of these, but first, concealer.
Jeff is just round the block. Is it the drink and ready to run? I'd be better by now, but I can make my feet move along. And as soon as I see you, I forget about it. Just as soon I get used to letting you go. I think a heartbeat and I'll go blind. You feel exactly every void I have inside. I'm your Valerie, like a rock, but still I try so hard to be something I'm not. So show me love and I will show up. Prove me wrong, this time you won't stop. Or you go your way and I will go mine. 'Cause never will I ever be blinded by love again. Jen calls crying, she's lost. Met her ex and now she's back to the start. I gave her my best advice. She did the same but couldn't change my mind. And as soon as I see you, I forget about it. said you want a bad one. Well, baby, I'm as bad as they come. Said you want a hot one. Yeah, you with the hottest under the sun. But be careful what you wish for. Make you eat your words. If I'm more than what you bargain for. Fun to flirt, but promise to deliver. Much is required. Cause look at what I'm giving you. You ain't really ready for real. You ain't even ready for real. You ain't really ready. Won't be faithful to someone ungrateful. I can't try to make you if you ain't you. You ain't really ready for real. You ain't even ready for real. You said you want a real one. Well, it don't get no realer than the realest one. Baby, can you handle it? If you really want it, better come get you some. But be careful what you wish for. Make you eat your word. If I'm more than what you bargained for. One dessert, but you ain't finished dinner. Much is required. Cause look at what I'm giving you. You ain't really ready for real. You ain't even ready for real. You ain't really ready. Won't be faithful to someone ungrateful. I can't try to make you if you ain't you. You ain't really ready for real. No,
Right, so 2 really easy looks. Now, I could probably take this side a little bit more smoky and really build up functional in that outer corner, but considering that I'm just about to wash this off and start over again, I didn't feel the need. I tried to get into as many shades as possible so that I could give you guys my thoughts on their performance on the eye. I have to say that now, obviously, this Nordic Cool shade is just not something that I would reach for a lot. However, I do like the fact that this, to me, is more of a, I don't want to say a neutral gray, because when I look at this, it's almost a slightly olive gray, but more in that like neutralized area. It's not a blue silver. It's definitely, you know, a little bit more wearable for everybody, I would say. I feel like on golden and olive skin tones, a bluish silver, I mean, for instance, something that has like more of this undertone, that more like platinum-y kind of vibe, is a little harsh on a skin tone like mine. It's beautiful on cooler skin tones, but it's just not my thing. So I do like that. So I did use Everything But Natural, and everything performed pretty well. I do think that Democratic Design, when used on a dry brush, does give you a decent inner corner. It's a decent inner corner. I mean, these are softer shimmers, you know, they're not like really like that electric mega foiled shimmer. However, they are also a thinner texture. And I know some people don't like the, let's say, slightly thicker, slightly more emollient texture that like Sydney Grace shadows have. I do also feel like that would mean that this would crease less as well. It's looking pretty good. I like it. As far as the Canadian Rockies palette, now here I did a bit of a halo eye, a very soft one, obviously. I do love this color. This Mountain Calling shade is so pretty, very, very pretty. I was pretty impressed with the performance of that Find Your Peak shade. I did try to use a bit of it up here, but I feel like it could just be the brush that I was using. It was a little bit light. So that's what I really built up on the lower lash line, and then popped a little bit of that River Rafting on the middle of the lower lash line. I have to say, that's going to be a pretty color to wear. I like the textural shimmer. And by textural, I guess I mean visually textural, not like feel. So it does have a nice little sparkle to it. I'm sure in the beginning swatches you have been able to see that. Yeah, it's pretty. This one also has a nice little like gold glimmer into it. So it's nice. I did feel like I had to really work to build up the shades to look as dark as they are in the pan. which is fine for me because then that also means that you have the ability to wear it a little bit more sheared out to have more options within this palette. So in here, the only shade I didn't use was Moose Crossing. And you know what we should do is just use that as an inner corner right now. So let's go ahead and do that. Ooh, this one's got some pigment. I am actually, you know, I'm using a pretty, oh, and of course now the sun's gonna come out. Fantastic. I am using a pretty good packing brush. This is the 207, and that really can like put that in there. Okay, that works. I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously there is no shimmer in here that you could use as an inner corner. I've been finding in recent Nomad palettes that there just hasn't been anything for me that I would use as an inner corner. I realize with 6 shades in a palette, that can be kind of hard to do. All right, I am going to go and wash this off. You'll either see me doing this look. If I've already done it for you, you'll see my final thoughts here at the end. All right, lovelies, I hope you enjoyed getting to see those looks. I have had a lot of fun today getting to play with these palettes, so hopefully you've had fun being along for that ride as well. So let's get down into it. How am I feeling about these palettes? Now, I definitely feel like the price is right. $22 for these, so if you use a discount code like mine, you'll get them for $20. I think that's a really good deal. I feel like these palettes on their own are great for the person who likes an easy monochromatic vibe. You know, generally monochromatic. Like I said, this one I feel like, you know, you got a little bit, you got some rosy and some more like bronzy kind of warm tones in here. But, you know, and I guess in this one you have some blues and some blue greens. And then this one is just really, you know, I mean, it's definitely kind of more of your just general cool tone. So I think you definitely have to be into a more monochromatic vibe if you decide you want to pick these up. Unless, of course, you're planning on getting 2 and kind of combining them together, which I think is absolutely doable. Whether you're picking one up to go with the original Nomad, or you're picking up a few, or you want to pick them all up, I could definitely see pulling 2 of these out to play with at a time. Like, I definitely think, like I said, that the Nomad Air and the Oslo palette go really well together. I also think, that actually I would probably pair, I mean, gosh, you could pair these 2 together and that would make for a super fun, colorful palette. You know what I'm saying? Like, we definitely have some options here. You can kind of flip-flop around. I think, actually, I feel like all of these, other than maybe these 2, other than the really cool and the really warm, I don't see myself pairing these 2 together, but every other combination with these 4 palettes would work really well to create a 12-pen palette. So if that's your vibe, totally go for it. I also think, you know, I feel like my personal makeup preferences have been moving a little bit more into something that's easy, quick. Even if I have color on, I want it to be effortless, right? And you can get that out of these. And, you know, if you think about it, like monochromatic palettes, I mean, if we think of all of the palettes from Dior, what is the other one that a lot of people get? Is that a Chanel? I am so not a like luxury eyeshadow wearer other than like Lisa Eldridge maybe. But there are a lot of, I mean, even like Tom Ford, right? There are a lot of 4, 5, or 6 pans that are more than 2 of these, right? So that being said, okay, some of the cons of these for me, again, they are monochromatic. So I find that if I'm getting a monochromatic, I need variance in the value of these shades, meaning the lightness to the darkness. I think this is probably the palette that has the most difference in value because we have something that's really light and something that's fairly deep. I didn't take this super deep in the look that I did, but I think you could get it there just from swatches. Now, other than that, I just feel like unless you're just doing easy breezy looks, which I think, you know, most small palettes like this are, you're just not getting a lot of super deep out of these. And I wish that, like, these I feel like are both in the same value. I wish that one of these was lighter and one was darker. I also feel like you could actually build this up quite a bit, but there's just not quite enough of a value difference for me to have it be like, oh, my perfect palette. That being said, a 6-pan is never going to be my perfect palette. I mean, you know, when I do the BYOP series every month, even having 10 shades, sometimes I'm like, oh, this is a struggle. So I am not the person that's, you know, reaching for a 6-pan all the time. A lot of times I'll probably grab 2 of these. So that is kind of it for me. The other thing is in none of these palettes, let me see the original one. Well, this one has Follow the Sun, and that one could be more of an inner corner. None of these have a true inner corner shade. I mean, this palette, you know, a lot of them I've had to use the matte to pop on the inner corner, but none of them have a shimmer. And it's like, I feel like that's a little bit of a miss for me, but maybe if you're just grabbing for a little mini palette like this, you're not really worried about that. But I just always like to have a little something on the inner corner. So that's the one thing for me. Honestly, these are not the only palettes that I feel like that with. And with a lot of the ones that I've been using recently, I've just been pulling out whatever powder highlight or two that I have in my Shop My Stash for this season and using that, and it's totally fine. So for $22, I feel like these are a great value, but I do wish they had more value difference, you know, because I do feel like both of these shimmers, I'm just kind of gonna repeat myself, but both of these shimmers are on the same value level. I feel like probably the same with this. Yeah, they're both the same. One of these should have been lighter. Yeah. So those are just my little thoughts, but I do like the ability to just pick two, kind of like play with them. Like I said, this one would have been really in clutch on my vacation. So I hope that you enjoy hearing my thoughts. And again, don't forget, when these launch, if you buy 3 of the 4, you will get this baby for free, or you can pick this up for the same price as the palettes for $22. Oh, and by the way, I did look and see the moisturizer is still in stock. It is $49. Now that I saw that, even with, you know, $5 off, I'm not sure. I would maybe hold off and pick this up when there's a bit more of a sale. I don't know that this is $49 worth of a moisturizer, but it is a really nice moisturizer. So I do just want to say that. For some reason, I thought it was a little less expensive. I think part of that is when this all originally launched, the skincare was at an intro price. So we've now missed out on that deal. Okay, that's enough for me, lovelies. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. I would be happy to answer them for you. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to spend it with me, and I will see you really soon.